Who would think that Robin Gibb kept a big secret from his fans and everyone else for so many years, a secret that finally made everything make sense? It wasn't until he was 62 years old that he finally told everyone what they had been wondering about. Robin Gibb, one of the singers from the famous band the Bee Gees, was known for his awesome singing voice and mysterious personality. But what was he hiding beneath all that? Let's jump in and find out. The Bee Gees' very simple beginnings started with the Gibb brothers, a group of 3 talented boys who really loved music, harmony, and performing when Robin was born, along with his twin brother Maurice. In December of 1949, they would later start a band with their oldest brother Barry. It wasn't until the 1950s that the boys got really into music, borrowing their older sister Leslie's records. They listened to Elvis Presley, Tommy Steele, the Everly Brothers, and other famous singers. They made pretend guitars out of cardboard boxes and acted like they were performing. In 1956, the brothers performed in public for the first time at the Gaumont, a movie theater a few blocks away. All the kids were allowed to lip-sync to songs, so they brought their sisters' records with them. They practiced with some kids from the neighborhood named Paul Frost and Kenny Horrocks, and they called themselves the Rattlesnakes. As they were about to perform, the sound guy dropped and broke Leslie's record. How unlucky for the brothers, but the Gibb brothers weren't the type to give up from a little problem. Luckily, Barry had a real guitar with him, so they performed while he played his guitar. The next thing they knew, all the kids loved it. From that moment on, the brothers became eager to keep singing and to be. Discovered by May 1958, the Rattlesnakes had broken up after Paul Frost and Kenny Horrocks left the band, but the Gibb brothers weren't about to stop. They decided to start over and formed a new band called Wee Johnny Hayes and the Blue Cats, with Barry using the stage name Johnny Hayes. August 1958 marked the start of a whole new adventure for the family. They packed up and left England for a fresh start in Australia. The whole family, including their older sister Leslie and younger brother Andy, ended up moving to the coastal town of Redcliffe in Queensland, just northeast of Brisbane, to keep pursuing music. The brothers went to Redcliffe Speedway. Often in 1959, there they performed between races. This ended up getting Bill Good's attention, one of the racing drivers. He liked them so much, he contacted DJ Bill Gates, who also said the kids stood out for their natural harmonies. Gates then recorded their songs and played them on the radio. It was Gates's idea to use the name Bee Gees, which was a common initial name among Barry, Gibb, Bill Good, and himself. Bill Gates, this later, became Bee Gees, which meant the brothers Gibb. Their dad, Hugh, ended up becoming their manager before they became successful. Hugh made money with his photography business as a manager. He decided to focus his career on his sons. At this point, they were already becoming well-known, appearing on Australian TV shows like Anything Goes and Brisbane Tonight. Not just that, Robin and his brothers also performed at theaters, nightclubs, and bars. Even as kids, their dad taught them to sing Mills Brothers songs, while their mom, Barbara, picked outfits for them. Despite this, they were far, far from successful. The brothers ended up meeting Nat Kipner, an American songwriter and producer who knew the music business pretty well. He had just taken on the job of A&R manager at Spin Records, a brand new independent label. Kipner saw something special in the Bee Gees and believed in their talent, excited to help them make it big. He became their manager and helped move them from Festival to Spin Records. This change was a big deal for them, while they still worked with Festival Records for distribution in Australia. Spin Records gave the Bee Gees a fresh start through Kipner. They got in touch with Ossie Byrne, a talented engineer who was just as confident in the brothers' abilities. Byrne welcomed them into his cozy, custom-built studio at St. Clair Studios in Hurstville, Sydney, where they started their recording sessions. Even though the studio wasn't super fancy, it gave the Bee Gees the chance to experiment and really develop their sound. From this point on, they started getting some popularity. They reached the charts at number 35, and their first Australian hit, Spicks and Specks, was recorded. They were going at a pretty steady pace in February 1967. Something big happened. The Bee Gees tried out for Robert Stigwood, a well-known person in the music industry who was really good at finding talent. The audition went really well, and Stigwood was so impressed that he signed the Bee Gees to a 5-year deal. This meant their music would be released through Polydor Records in the UK and Atco Records in the US, which set them up for international success. Before long, people started comparing them to the Beatles, which brought a mix of excitement and pressure as they stepped into this new part of their careers. With solid support behind them, the Bee Gees were ready to hit the big time to make their group bigger. They brought on board Colin Peterson and Vince Maloney, giving them more room to explore their sound. Their next single in Britain, New York, Mining Disaster. 1941 stirred up quite a buzz. Radio stations got copies with no labels. Just the song title sparking rumors that it might be a new Beatles release. The mystery around the track really hooked listeners, and New York Mining Disaster. 1941 quickly climbed the charts, reaching the top 20 in both the UK and the US. This was an exciting milestone for the Bee Gees, who were eager for that kind of recognition. Finally, they were being noticed on the international stage, getting the attention of fans and critics alike. With that momentum, the Bee Gees' journey continued, full of ups and downs, critical acclaim, and a lot of pressure. While they worked hard to secure their place in the music scene, the band faced some internal struggles and creative disagreements in 1968. Just when their popularity was at its highest, they had a big 7-week tour scheduled in the US. But right before it started, Robin Gibb collapsed and had to go to the hospital. He was diagnosed with nervous exhaustion from all the stress he'd been under. This threw the Bee Gees into a tough spot, forcing them to make some hard decisions about their lineup and future. Even when Robin was out of the picture, Barry and Maurice kept making music, but it just didn't feel the same without his voice. As time went on, things got pretty tense, and they had some creative disagreements. The arguments peaked over the single 1st of May, where Robin wanted Lamplight to be the main track instead, feeling a bit left out. Robin decided to leave the Bee Gees in 1969 to focus on his solo career. Barry and Maurice tried to carry on without him, but they could really feel that he was missing their first show. Without Robin at the talk of the town in London was a mix of happiness and sadness, while they pushed on with recording the album, Cucumber Castle. Robin's absence was hard to ignore. Meanwhile, Robin had success with his solo hit, Saved by the Bell, which sparked talk about what would happen with the Bee Gees. As Robin's solo career took off, it became tricky for Barry and Maurice to keep the duo going strong. They started exploring individual projects, but hit some bumps along the way. Once super close, the brothers were now going their separate ways, leaving fans wondering if the Bee Gees would ever reunite. By the mid-1970s, they began to fix their rocky relationship while on vacation in Spain. Barry found himself thinking about everything that had happened. Maurice reached out to Robin to share his apologies about their earlier arguments, and that simple gesture helped bring the Bee Gees back together, ready to make music as a trio. Again, their reunion turned out to be a success. In 1971, they released their 9th album, Trafalgar, which included the hit single, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? This track helped them make a comeback, getting back into the UK top 10. After going through some rough times, both personally and professionally during the 70s, the Bee Gees took a surprising turn in their music by jumping on the disco trend, especially with Barry's amazing falsetto songs like You Should Be Dancing, really marked a key moment for them, and being part of the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack cemented their place in music history. As the 70s wrapped up and disco faded a bit, the Bee Gees' tunes still found a way to connect with fans. They truly became icons in the music scene, leaving a lasting impact that went beyond their era. By the end of 1979, the disco scene was starting to fade away, and that came with some pretty big struggles for the Bee Gees. There was a quick backlash against disco music, and both fans and critics began to lose interest in the genre that used to be all the rage. Since the Bee Gees were so tied to disco, they found it tough to deal with this shift, facing rejection from radio stations and audiences who were turning their backs on the disco vibe. On top of that, they dealt with some legal troubles when a musician accused accused them of stealing parts from their hit How Deep Is Your Love. At first, the court sided with the accuser, saying the Bee Gees didn't provide enough expert proof to back up their defense, but a few months later that decision was overturned and they got cleared of all the accusations, even though the whole thing took a toll on them. Emotionally, even with the tough times they faced, the Bee Gees really held on to their love for performing and their special connection with fans at one of their shows. They honored their late brother Andy Gibb by adding his voice to their song, Our Love, Don't Throw It All Away. It was a truly moving tribute that reminded everyone of Andy's spirit and the brothers' bond, leaving the crowd feeling deeply touched. This emotional moment sparked a realization for the Bee Gees about the incredible magic they had with their fans. Motivated, Barry, Robin, and Maurice kicked off a worldwide tour called One Night Only. Fueled by their fans' support, the tour turned out to be a massive success, breathing new life into their careers and reconnecting them with their global fan base. The tour gave the Bee Gees a fresh sense of direction, and they kept performing, enjoying a whole new level of popularity. But as time went on, health issues started to weigh on the group. In 2002, Maurice Gibb, the heart and humor of the band, faced unexpected health challenges. He was hospitalized, and sadly he passed away, leaving Barry and Robin devastated with Maurice gone. The Bee Gees, as a trio, had to come to an end. The brothers decided to retire the Bee Gees name as a tribute to Maurice, marking the close of their legendary musical journey. His loss hit Barry and Robin hard, but their strong bond and love for music remained intact in 2006. Barry and Robin got on stage together for the first time since Maurice's death, not for a big concert, but for a charity event in Miami that meant a lot to them. It was a simple yet powerful moment showing their resilience and commitment to their family's musical legacy. In the years that followed, Robin faced his own health battles after being diagnosed with liver cancer. His condition slowly got worse, but he kept fighting in private despite his struggles and having to cancel shows. He stayed connected with his fans, impressing everyone with his courage and dedication. In an interview with Robin's son, Robin Gibb, he revealed a secret. Nobody knew. Apparently, every single news outlet was getting it wrong. It wasn't the cancer that killed his father, Robin. He said he had already gone through remission and the cancer was barely noticeable. It was kidney failure, which took his father's life. This might help clear up the big difference between what the late singer said about his cancer in February and how his health took a turn for the worse in March. It could have worried other patients, thinking if Gibb's condition could change so quickly, maybe theirs could too. Back in early February, Robin Gibb told the BBC that he had a tumor taken out of his colon and it was nearly gone, and he felt great. He said that from then on it was just some cleanup procedures and that he was active and feeling good overall. It left his fans confused when he went from that positive mood to being in a coma in April and passing away in May. Was he just not facing the truth about his cancer? Or did it really seem reversible before it turned deadly? According to Robin, neither was true. The kidney failure he faced was a separate problem, although it definitely got worse because of the stress that cancer and its tough treatment put on Robin's body. The Daily Express described Robin as feeling frustrated about the conflicting opinions among doctors on how to care for his father during his last weeks, and he voiced dissatisfaction with the choices made by the hospital professionals. The Sun shared with the newspaper that his dad was doing fine, right up until 3 days before he passed away, when he suddenly had a seizure. Robin said that he was given sedatives to help manage the side effects of his chemotherapy, but his liver couldn't handle the load. His condition quickly got worse, and his kidneys started to be affected as well. In the end, his father passed away from kidney and liver failure while he was in a coma. Dwina Gibb was also battling something on her own. The couple has been open about their marriage. He has a kid with their former housekeeper, and she's been open about finding women attractive. But after 28 years, it's clear they still care about each other a lot. In 2009, after Robin had a daughter named Snow Robin Gibb, with their housekeeper Claire Yang, who was nearly half his age, his life took an unexpected turn despite their